This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in yesterday's session, actually we completed one demo session and then couple of more sessions. So in demo session we discussed about what is performance testing and LoadRunner architecture and some sample record and replay and the course content. Day one we discussed about types of performance testing. Yesterday we discussed about what is a server, web server, app server, database server, protocol, and failover testing. So in today's session, we are going to discuss uh, non-functional requirements gathering. So before discussing what questions we need to ask, so this is the performance testing life cycle. So this is a performance testing life cycle. So every performance tester has to participate in all of these phases, okay, while working in a performance testing project. So generally whenever you attend any interview, they will ask a question. So what are your day-to-day activities in your recent project? Or so the question can be like that also, like what are your day-to-day activities in your project? So you should say that that you have worked in all the phases of performance testing lifecycle, right from non-functional requirements gathering till reporting and documentation. So so why why this question will come up is, normally in some projects a lead will be there and a performance tester will be there, right? So a performance tester will focus mostly on scripting, test data, scenario, all these things. In fact, this also. But these two, test lead will take care in some projects. But nowadays, every performance tester should participate in all of these, including non-functional requirements gathering, test plan, POCs, if required, workload modeling, everything. All of these activities should be handled by a performance tester. Okay, so on the left hand side, whatever you are seeing, the first task or phase is non-functional requirements. So and then test plan, workload modeling. These three are document based. These three are document based, and these are uh, mostly tool based. Like if you do scripting, prepare scenario analysis, and all that stuff. Okay, now uh, in fact apart from all of this, we have something called POC also. We'll discuss that as well. uh, but before discussing POC, I will just explain you the questions that we generally ask for, the answers that we generally gather from the application team before you start working on any project. Okay, just give me one moment. Okay, so hope you are able to see the screen. So this I have prepared this questionnaire document, which will be helpful for you guys. In fact, your project might also have some document, something similar like this. The template might be different, but most of the questions will be same. Okay, so if you don't have any existing template, I will share this anyways. You can continue to use this. So I have been using the same template for many years. Okay. Um, Now, if you see, this is a performance test questionnaire. So that means uh, if you are assigned to some project, first you should schedule a meeting with the application team and walk through these questions, that saying that before you start working on the application, you need to gather some info, which is mentioned in this document. So the first section over here, is the general section where we are mentioning about application name, application description. So what is the project that you are working on? What is it all about in one two lines? What is the test objective? And then any application specific documents, if they are, you can ask them to attach here or give the links. Then again, some more generic information like who will be working on this project, like in case of any queries or escalations or anything related to the project, who if you want to reach out to, who are those stakeholders. So all those names you have to list down here, including yours. And then from here on, the important information will be gathered. So if you see the first information, so this section is all about the environment or architecture details. So the first question here is load test environment. So in which environment you are supposed to execute the load test? So in general, some projects will have a dedicated environment for performance testing. Some projects will have a shared environment. So you have to check with the application team. So is there any specific environment dedicated for this project to perform the stress test, or should you continue to use the shared environment? What do you mean by environments? So environments in sense, um, like dev environment, test environment, production environment, like that. So you might have a separate stress or a performance testing environment wherein you can run the stress test accordingly. One second, please. Okay. So um, so you check with the application team, so which environment you are supposed to run the test. Okay. So they will give you a separate URL for that environment, the application URL, database credentials, everything they will share with you for that environment. Okay, like that's the reason I mentioned here. SIT is like integration testing environment, UAT environment, perf environment, like will be different environments. Then is a load test environment a replica of production? So in whichever environment you are executing the load test, that environment should be a replica of production. Okay, what do you mean by replica of production? Let me share you one slide. So if you see this slide over here, uh, so if you see, this one is production environment, this is production like environment. That means in production, if you have two app server instances, in production like environment, that is in stress environment also, you need to have the two application server instances. In production, if you have a 16 GB RAM, here also you need to have a 16 GB RAM. So that means the infrastructure should be same in both production and performance testing environment. Then only you can give accurate results. In some projects, there might not be a replica of production, but still you can run the stress test and mention that with the given with the given configuration and infrastructure capacity, these are the results, and this is how it will work in production. This is how it could work in production, is what you can inform them. So, but most of the projects, or most likely, the production environment should be, sorry, the stress environment should be a replica of production. Okay. So, any questions in this till here?
Sir, if
Hi,
the
hello, sir.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, you continue, madam.
Uh, Sir, if the project is new, then for doing the testing means for POC or something, do we need the same like production environment?
Yes, even if the project is completely new, they might have already have the initial setup of production environment. Like the project architect might have already decided how the production environment will be. So same environment you have to request for stress or performance testing also. Okay, and comparing results and all, that's a different thing, but this is only related to the environment or the configuration of the servers what you have in production and the performance test environment.
Okay.
Okay,
Understood.
even if you don't, even if this environment doesn't match, you can still run, but there is a caveat. Caveat in sense there some condition, like okay, like with this given infrastructure this is the result, that's it, because they
Okay.
didn't give us a replica of production, right? So what we
Yeah.
can do with whatever infrastructure we have, we will run and give the
Yeah.
information to them, our all
Yeah.
our observations and concerns.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, next
Uh,
question.
One more question. Yeah. Sir, can we do performance testing in production environment itself?
We don't do, chances are very very less, like 0.05 or 0.1%, wherein like but if you ask me, have you done any production environment performance testing? No, in at least no, I don't even remember when did I do. Every project that I supported in all these years had a separate environment or a shared environment. But I heard like very rarely. I mean, not even in my circle as well. Circle in sense, not even in my colleagues or everything. But in general, there might be a chance 0.001%. Then there's a chance that you have to do sometimes in production. But the problem is in production, when you're dealing with production, right? There is every chance the data might get corrupted, or the server might the application might go down. There will be there will be a lot of maintenance, all that stuff. And even if you do in production, uh, there is some limitation. In production, when you're doing a performance testing, most likely they will not point to production database, they will point to a different database, but the application server and all, they will be from the production. So it's a difficult task, time taking, because a lot of teams should come into picture to achieve that goal. That's the reason we always test in an environment before production.
Okay.
Okay,
And
we can
what
discuss
is
few more
okay?
points on that later. Yeah,
Okay. On what is perf environment? Let's say.
perf is nothing but the performance testing environment, the a dedicated environment for performance testing. For example,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I mean, you might know, right? For example, in let's say Isha is the application, so this is the production URL. Okay, let's say this
Hmm.
is like sit.isha.com. This is testing environment, more manual testing or functional testing environment URL. So
Hmm.
we have a
Hmm.
dedicated environment like this. So this application is where we actually do the performance testing. So this will have its own application servers, database server, all this stuff. Okay.
Okay. So, in case, when we do performance testing by applying the load or by doing any other type of performance testing, it might create the garbage data.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's the reason we have a separate database also, right? So as
Okay.
I mentioned here, if you see, a separate database will be there for performance testing. So all the junk
Okay.
data or whatever the data we have, it will be there itself. So no worries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, then that's what I mentioned here also. So when you are comparing production versus test or performance environment, you are actually checking their RAM, memory, CPU and all that stuff. And then we are asking, is there any pre or post work required? So we are asking the application team, which includes development team, business analyst and all. We are asking everyone, is there any pre work or post work required? So any information in that line. So if they have any information, they'll give you. Then we are requesting to provide project architecture details. like type what is a what web server, which app server, database server they are using and all. Okay, so we will ask provide architecture details, type of web server, app server, database server, load balancer and all. Like yesterday we discussed, right? Whether web server is IAS or Tomcat, whether app server is WebLogic or WebSphere, whether database server is Oracle or SQL Server, what kind of load, is there any load balancer involved? If yes, may I know the load balancer algorithm that is used, like that. Just get the architecture diagram. Okay, you can they can add that architecture diagram link also here. Then communication. Okay, then this is all about uh,
Screen
application
is not shared.
technology. Oh, is it only for you or for everyone?
I don't know for others, but
Can everyone see the Word document?
yeah, now I can see.
Okay, okay, thank you. So the communication protocol. Uh, so what type of protocol we are using? That that information we have to store here. Right, note down here. And application technology, whether it's a .NET application or a Java based application, like that, which will help us in recording the scripts easily. Database details, any third party components involved, and then if there any Java messaging systems or message queues involved. So some projects, right, um, one component will send the message and drop it in one queue, and from that queue another component will pick it up. Okay, another component will pick it up. So when there is a queue system involved, a message queues concept will be involved. So we have to check with them is if there any message queue system involved. Okay, so right, there are so many message queues in the market, like IBM queuing systems, WebSphere MQs, okay, active MQs, all so many message queue systems are there in the market. Depending on the project architecture, they might use it. Some projects might have this, some project might not have this. Simple. Okay. Then we will ask about some performance testing related details, like what are the critical business scenarios that we need to test. As I said, we should not do a performance test for every scenario of that application. We should only focus on the critical scenarios. So if you take any banking application, so day before yesterday also I mentioned some of the critical scenarios are transfer money, download statement, paying credit card bill. All these are critical scenarios. If any performance issues come up in these scenarios, it will have a huge impact on the business. Then what are the examples of non-critical scenarios? For example, one such example is changing user ID password. So users won't change password every day, right? Like how they transfer money. Okay, most of the users. Similarly, the frequency of changing passwords is not like transfer money. So that's a non-critical. That means even if changing password takes time, like 30 seconds or 1 minute, doesn't impact. The user will wait. But if transferring money itself is taking like 1 minute and all, users might not wait. They might complain. Okay. So that is non-critical. So you have to focus on critical scenarios only. You have to ask the application team, can you list all the critical scenarios? And then those scenarios only we will take it on priority. Then the application environment URL we are asking, like I mentioned, we might have some URL, right? So they might give you some URL like this for the testing, and some username and password for testing. Okay. And if we need to create a new user IDs for performance testing, how to create new user IDs? Okay, let's say if I want to run with 100 users, and at any cost I want to pass 100 unique user ID and passwords. Okay, there are some conditions whether you need to pass all unique user IDs or repeated data is also possible. There are some scenarios, we'll discuss those later. But if you need to create some set of user IDs, how to create. We need to get this information. Sometimes this is very important. Okay. Any questions still here?
Sir, for these input user IDs, so all the time we have to create, or sometime they will provide.
Depends. If they don't want to give us access to create the user IDs, they will provide. We should just raise some request or send an email that, oh, we need 100 user ID and passwords for performance testing, something like that. If they give access, or if they tell us the process to create, we can only create if we want to.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
and if, okay, the next question will be after this concurrent users.
Okay. So after this, we are going to ask some questions like with how many users we have to test. What are the concurrent users at a scenario? Mostly we can ask at a scenario level. If they're not giving it at a scenario level, they will mostly give it an application level. For example, transfer money scenario, I want to run with 200 users. Download statement, I want to run with 100 users. Pay credit card bill, I want to run with 200 users. Like that, they will give information at a scenario level. Sometimes they will give it, they will give at an application level. They will say for the overall banking application, the total number of users that you have to test is 500. That's it. They don't give it scenario level. Then how to calculate and calculate the scenario level users, we'll see those later. But this information is required. Okay. And then you might also ask, if it's an existing application, what is the current production user volumes? We have to ask this information. Okay. You can also, I mean, if you have access, if they give you access, you can also check. But if they don't give you access, if it's the first time, you might not have access. But if it's an existing project and you already did some performance testing few months ago and all, you also have some access, right? You can also get the data by doing some queries or doing some like using some tools like Splunk or SQL database or something like that. Then test data, how much test data is required for these number of users, how to create test data. So they might not give you a direct information on this, but when they give you a walkthrough of the scenarios, for example, transfer money is there. So they will give you a walkthrough, like they walkthrough in sense, they will share the screen and then they will show you how to navigate the, how to execute that scenario. So while executing that scenario, wherever they are entering some data as an input, that could be our test data. Okay. So you have to think with how to create that test data. Will the application accepts any random data, or should you create, should we create some unique data before itself? Okay. So all these things you have to think. Okay. You will have some time, right? You will also do some you'll also practice that scenario manually before developing the script, right? While practicing the scenario manually on the UI, so just see wherever you are entering the input and see what kind of data it is accepting, whether it is accepting only specific set of data, how to create the data, and all that, all those steps you need to think. And most of the cases, uh, we will handle data creation. Okay. Very rarely some other team might give us test data, but 99% of the times we can handle our own test data by implementing parameterization, at the same time by writing our own scripts for creating test data. That means along with the actual script, actual scenario script, we can create some other scripts which will only create test data for us. Okay. So that is also possible. We'll see those, we'll see all these things practically in our sessions. Any questions in this?
Um, Sir, in architecture diagram, what you have explained. So suppose I have a cloud-based app, and that app is integrated with other two apps. So in architecture diagram, do I need to provide the architecture of that cloud application or my integration architecture?
Basically, if your application is integrating with some other apps, so only you need to know what kind of application which it is interacting and what request you are sending to them. That's it. So
Okay, okay.
when you send request, you will get some data. You don't need
Hmm.
to worry what kind of application the other application is, what is the technology. No need to worry. You just need to know what is the request that you are sending. Are we able to send the request to that application? Are we getting the response? That's it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Then we will discuss. We will ask few more questions on what type of testing is required, like load, stress, endurance, and all. If they if they are not aware of performance testing, they will ask us to decide on ourselves. So in that case, as I mentioned yesterday, or day before yesterday, performance testing is always measured in terms of speed, stability, and scalability. So considering that, you can always suggest load test, endurance test, and scalability test. Okay. Then testing timelines. So by when you have to complete every is are they following any release cycle? Okay. If they are following any release cycle, every release, do we have any deadline like that? Okay. So normally, what will happen is every release, you all know, right? At least whoever is coming from IT, you all know, right? So we might have a 2 months release in Agile, most of the cases. So in that case, uh, let's say, let's take this month. Let's say April, May is one release. Okay. Now we are in the mid of May. That means May, let's say May 30th deployment is there for this release, which will go to production. So we should always target to complete our performance testing at least 10 days before, at least 10 days before it goes live. So that even if we face, even if we get any performance issues, developers will still have some time to fix that, and we can do another round of stress test or performance test. Okay. So we will target at least 2 weeks before, but it all, sometimes there will be strict timelines, right? We might get very less time frame, like 1 week or 1 week, something like that. So in that 1 week, we have to run the tests, prepare reports, analyze the results, find out the issues, and get it fixed by the development team, and again retest. So many things will be there in that 1 week. Then you might get it out. Then if we have to complete the entire testing in 1 week, what will we do for the remaining 1.5 month in that release? In that 1.5 month, we will work with the functional testing team. Once they are done, if we have, we will if it's an existing application, we will go through the existing scripts. We will see if anything has to be updated, any test data dependencies, prepare all the test data, any user ID creations, check the user ID creations, prepare our scripts, keep the environment ready. Okay. All these things we have to take care of that. So because we will not work only on one application, right? We sometimes we will have to work on multiple applications. So in that case, you might not find enough time also. If you are lucky and if you are working only on one application, then you will have a lot of time. But I'm sure no manager will keep you idle for that much time by giving you only one project and running a performance test once in every 2 months. So in that case, you have to do performance testing and some other support work also. Okay. That depends. And then what are the, if there are any APM tools that are in use, you should ask them the tool name and its URL and credentials and all that stuff. Any expected SLA. So this SLA is related to the response time. Like the response time should be not more than 3 seconds. The response time should be not more than 2 seconds, like that. They will give you some SLA. You have to note down it. Any existing performance issues, if it's an existing application, any existing performance issues which are already in place, please let us know so that we can focus more in that area. Okay. So these are the some of the important questions that we need to ask before starting our work. Any questions so far?
So, for the concurrent users, so will it depend on the types of login? If suppose
Uh,
there are two types of login, then we should ask for two types of concurrent users like that.
mm,
LRA?
e- so you mean to say, let's say for that application, there is a supervisor user and admin user. First,
Yeah,
you need to log in with supervisor and then log in with admin user like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
in
flow
that
will be
case, you need to get both the information, uh, and you need to, like, how many supervisor users are there?
uh,
Those many admin users you can keep, or one admin user is also sufficient if application supports. For example, because you asked that question, even though it is out of context, I will tell you one point. So there are two types of applications. Okay, one application where the application will allow you to log in with the same user ID and password again and again at the same time. For example, I am logging in to my application with username ABCD and password 1234. Okay. Now, at the same time, your colleague or you opened another machine or logged into another machine or another browser. You access the same URL and again logged in with same username and password. Now, if your application is allowing you to log in with the same username and password at the same time, then no worries. Okay, you can run the entire test with very few user IDs also. Even you can run with only one user ID password also. You can run the entire test also possible. But there will be some applications where where it will not allow you to log in with the same user ID for more than one instance. For example, I log in with QWER 1234, and immediately I logged into another machine or another browser. I logged in with same username and password. No, either it will not allow this user to log in, or even if it allows this user to log in, it will automatically log out. The first user will automatically log out. That means at any point of time, you can log in only once with that credentials.
yeah,
Okay. So this is a different kind of application. This is a different kind of application. Now, when you're dealing with this sort of application and you need to run the test with 100 users, you need to have 100 unique username and passwords for sure.
yeah.
Okay, when you're dealing with this sort of application, even if you don't have 100 unique user IDs and passwords, it is still fine. You can still manage to run. Even if you have 50, it's still fine. Even if you have 30, you can still manage. I'll tell you how to run the how to implement that practically, but it is still possible.
Sir, if both the user have same user ID and password, then how it will be distinguished?
Because there is a concept of virtual user, right? So
Mm,
a virtual user instance will be created in the load generator machine. Load generator machine will take care of it, but
okay.
it will simply use the username and password. But end of the day, it's a virtual user. It's a separate user for us.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Got
yeah.
it.
So for us, we need to concentrate on these points.
Mm,
So
okay.
forget about the virtual user. It is a different user, but these two type of applications is what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you this practically also later on.
Yeah, and the one point was there where we have to create the volumes in the. So you said like we in the production like environment should be there, means the DB whatever it is populated in the production, the same DB should be there, means the same amount of data should be there in the performance
Correct.
environment as well.
Mhm, mhm, yes.
Okay.
So in production database, let's say you have 1 lakh or 100K records. In performance database also, you need to have 100K records or close to that number.
Okay.
Okay, so then only we will be able to find out the slow running queries issues, any stored procedure issues, or whatever, or any database related issues.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And apart from all of these, um, Okay, this is related to NFR, this questionnaire document. Apart from this, there is another phase, not phase exactly, there is another task, I can say, uh, wherein you might need to work, you might need not work. In most of the cases, you don't need to work. Very rarely, you might need to work. What is that? That is called POC, proof of concept. Okay. Again, there are two types of scenarios for this. There are two types of scenarios for this. So one is, it's a you are already, let's say there's the first case is you already have a new team, you already have a team, you have a manager. Under your manager, like, there are 5 performance testers working on various applications. It's a core performance testing project. Now you got another application. Okay. Now when you got another application, you need to do some or let's say you are already doing some application in, let's say, in LoadRunner or JMeter. Let's take JMeter. Okay. Now your manager said, we are not going to use JMeter. We are going to use LoadRunner from now on, for example. So they will ask you to do some POC in that case. So what you have to do in that case? So whatever the scripts you have, let's say you have 10 scripts for that application. Okay, in JMeter. Now, how do you plan for a POC? No need to convert all those 10 scripts to LoadRunner and confirm your manager that your POC is successful. Check out of those 10 scripts, take one or two complex scripts. Okay, take one complex UI script, take one script which has connecting with database, take one script which is core REST service, web service script. Okay, like this, take unique scripts, one, like take 3 or 4 scripts max, and try to develop the scripts in LoadRunner and run the test. Run the test in sense, run a smoke test or run a load test for 1 hour and see the results. So whatever the results you are getting in JMeter, similar results you should get in LoadRunner also. Okay. Whatever, you should not face any issues while execution or while script development. Okay. But always select unique scripts, like one UI, one connecting to database, one web service, like that. So if all these unique different scripts are converted successfully to LoadRunner and executed and analyze the results, then you can say POC is successful. Okay, that is one case. Second case is, it's a brand new team. Okay, second case is, it's a brand new team. You are getting a performance testing project. Your manager asked you to do some POC on which tool is better for your scripts. Even client said, okay, I'm okay with any tool, you do POC and let me know. Then what you do? You again take same plan. Take one UI script, take one web service script, take some script which connects to database, or anything which is unique in your list, and develop the scripts in both the tools, let's say LoadRunner and JMeter, and see which is performance tester friendly, which tool is able to using which tool you are able to develop the scripts easily, which tool is supporting well. Okay, execution wise, development wise, note down all the challenges of both the tools, comparisons. Okay, and then give all that information to the management. They will decide which tool they want to use. Okay, so you might not get this chance every project. Very rarely you might get a chance, but always the plan should be selecting some unique scripts and do some develop and execute and provide your observations. Okay, so there will be many challenges. It's not simple like what we discussed. There will be many challenges when you do a POC. Okay, so you have to take care of it. Any other questions?
Sir, during that
I'm
POC,
I'm waiting for very long.
yeah,
You have to
sorry.
give the chance to others as well, please.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
so I have very generic questions, sir. I happen to attend many interviews, and very generic question being asked by the very every interview, and the answer for this question is very perspective viewpoint, right? So people ask that, okay, if we are new project coming into the our way, and we don't have any business analyst, any product owners having any clue about NFR requirements. They
Mhm.
and you know that every performance tester having the very difficulty, or the engineer as well, to get the
Okay.
required NFR requirements, right? So this
Yeah.
question was asked, if you don't have any clue and nobody is helping on, so how do you proceed to collect this NFR requirements?
Uh, Actually, that is our tomorrow's session. But because
Okay.
you asked, let's try to complete in 15 minutes. So, um, so the question which you asked is this one. So how do you gather information regarding volumes or whatever it is when the client is not aware of performance testing, uh, or they don't have any info as such related to performance testing? Then how do you
Yes.
gather all this information? So
Yes.
again, uh, okay, even though it is tomorrow's session, I would like to continue today because we still have 15 minutes. So in this, for your question, we will have generally, I mean, this is not see in real, because this is again interview question. That is correct, it is only asked in interviews, but practically we are not much involved in it in every project, but it is just asked for interview purpose in majority of the projects. Okay, so the first scenario in this case, when client doesn't know anything about performance testing, how do you gather all the information? So first scenario is if the application is already in production. Okay, the first scenario is if the application is already in production. So that means, let's say the application is already in production since last 6 months or last 2 years, and now now you wanted to gather some information. How do you gather the information? So as I said, you will have access to you should have access to some tools like Splunk. They are called data analysis tools, right? Splunk or SQL database. You can connect with either of these. Okay, that's what I mentioned here. If the application is already in production, then we should get the historical data. Okay, so try to get the historical data like last 6 months or last 1 year using some analytical tools like Splunk, SQL Server, etc. For example, in the last 1 year, which month, during which date, or during which exact time period, the application was most busy. So when was the last time more number of users access the application, how many page views, etc. We can get this information using this concept. Okay, so if you have some information, if you have some practical knowledge on Splunk or SQL, accessing SQL, writing SQL queries and all, this will be little bit easy for you to get the information. This is actually a common scenario when application is already in production. Okay, now when application is not in production, okay, that means application is brand new and even client doesn't know anything about performance testing. Okay, client doesn't know anything about performance testing. Then in that case, you actually we as a performance tester will not have much task to do, but we have to reach out to our at least some contact from the application team, whoever it is, and they will assist us by reaching out to actual business. Okay, actual client. So what they do is, because it's a new application, client also doesn't have any information, right? So they will get some competitor statistics, competitor metrics. For example, I am starting a new bank. I don't have any information how many users will access my bank and all. So I will see how my competitors are doing at that scale. Okay, they will use some tools. They will use some data, analytical tools. Okay, like this. Some network traffic utility tools. Okay, so I'll give you one example of that. I'll show you. So there
Hello.
is, yeah,
I
go ahead.
had one doubt. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what we will do for taking that 6 months or 1 year historical data? if we don't know what scenarios to test, or like what SLA we need to
no, no. If
place.
you no, if you they will have that critical scenarios, right? So basically, if it's an existing application, they know which scenarios are critical. Okay. See, if I
Okay.
if you take any e-commerce application, what are critical scenarios? Purchasing a product, ordering a product,
Yeah.
canceling a product, modifying a product, right?
And
Searching
payment.
for the product, yeah, payment. All these are critical scenarios. So for any application, if it's an existing, they will know what are critical. That should not be an issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was one sample website. Not sure. Let me search for it. Hmm. Okay. So here, okay. So here, if you see, I mean, just to give you an idea, I mean, this also changed a lot. I don't have any idea about how it works. So basically, there will be some vendors like this who will provide some information about how others are doing in the business which you started. Okay. So at a very high level, clients will gather some information, something like this. So they will contact some third party vendors to give you some information about how others are doing in the same business. For example, I will search for some banking. Let's see. So I'm searching with some banking and I'm asking some insights. Oh, okay. So they change. I think they changed the whole thing. So I'll show you tomorrow about how, I mean, how they get the information from this. They changed the application. What is that? The entire page itself. They are not allowing me to access. So I'll see tomorrow how we will get that information. But the thing is, they will reach out to some vendor to by you. They will also those vendors also use some network traffic utilities like what I have shown now. They will get the information like how many page views are there for those applications, from which locations they are accessing, and all that stuff. They will give some information. Okay. So when you don't have any information, it's a brand new application which you are starting, you don't have any information, then you reach out to some vendor who will give you your competitor statistics. Okay. So in this case, as a performance tester, we don't have much scope to do. Okay. But still it is asked in the interview, but you have to tell the same solution, same answer. Okay. For example, you are working in India and you are doing some Australian project. Now how will you reach out to some vendors and asking for Australian competitors business and all that stuff, which is not possible, right? So in these cases, high level management will try to get some information for you. Okay. So we as a performance tester might not get all the information in this case. Scenario 2, scenario 1, we will deal. Okay. Scenario 2, we don't have much control. So scenario 3, in scenario 3 also, client doesn't know anything about performance testing and there is no competitor in the market. Okay. There is no competitor also, you are the first one who are doing. Okay. You are the first one who are doing that. So for example, um, let's say you are starting a food delivery app and there is no competitor. Okay. How will you get the information? You don't have any competitor also. In this case, again, high level business will reach out to some vendors who will get some information like how the current offline business is going on. For example, how many users are directly going to the nearby food delivery stores and purchasing food? Okay. And how many of them might convert to convert to online users? Okay. So let's say 1 lakh users are daily going to nearby stores and purchasing food. Out of them, let's say 50% of the users might convert to online business, switch to online business if you start an app. So like that, they will get some metrics. To begin with, they will start with some metrics like 50% of the offline business or 25% of the offline business is what they will take as input, and they will start doing the testing for that. Okay. So in scenario 2 and scenario 3, we don't have much control. Only thing is we have to reach out to our higher management and you know request for assistance in getting the further information, because we don't have any control or information about how things are going in other at client place, right? We might be at some place and client might be at some other place. We don't know what is the offline business for them. We don't know how many users might be going to offline and purchase food, right? So all these things will not work. So scenario 2 and scenario 3, we don't have any much control on it. So scenario 1 we can happily do. So still in interview, if they ask this question, you have to tell all these scenarios. So I clearly mentioned in the interview questionnaire document. I'll send this document, interview questions document, later on. Okay. And you might also get a follow-up question. Have you gathered any data for scenario 3? They will just ask you to test. Of course, they also know it's not possible for you directly to gather the information for scenario 3, but they'll just ask you to test. In this case, you can say there was an application for which client did not provide any data. However, I discussed with my business analyst and application team to finalize the target volumes. Reaching out to client was not possible directly in our project. So twist the same answer you can twist here and there. Create your answer and tell the same thing in interview. Okay. So don't get confused, especially for this question. Be prepared with a predefined answer. Okay. So no need to think at that time and all that stuff. These scenarios are mandatory to answer. So have a predefined answer and tell the same answer to them. Okay. Okay. This question also I mentioned here. If you see,
Thank you.
what is the important information to be gathered? So this is also one of the important interview question, and this question will be asked by managers or leads. Okay. And when they ask this question, without wasting any time, just tell at least 5 6 7 points quickly. Okay. So that it will give a positive thing. It will give a positive note in the interview. So that means you know what to gather, you know what to test, you know what to do in your performance testing project when you answer this question correctly. Okay. Any questions? So it's
So
a
are you,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, are you going to teach us something about Splunk or
Um,
any analytical tool?
no, we
Because
will.
my
No, we
uh,
currently we have only Dynatrace in scope, but Splunk, I don't have anything in scope as of now in our in our course content. Okay.
Hello, sorry.
okay, because
Yeah, go ahead.
uh, yeah, can I
Yeah,
complete?
go ahead.
Yeah. So my application is in production. So I want to gather data. So as a manual tester, I already know the scenarios based on that critical scenarios. Based on that, I can test. But um, what else? Like what other critical scenarios I need to test for that? Um, ca- can I have any other analytical tool where I can search for the critical uh, to find out the critical data or critical scenarios?
You can check. You can check using Dynatrace also. So I will show you in
Okay.
Dynatrace how to find out.
Okay. Okay.
In Dynatrace AppDynamics also you can find out. Okay. But Splunk I mentioned because it was a core data analytical tool even before people started using AppDynamics and Dynatrace in performance testing projects. Splunk was already there. So that's the reason I gave that example. But if you have knowledge of Splunk, like it's a simple query language only. You can write some simple queries and fetch the information. Um, but nowadays with Dynatrace and AppDynamics and these APM tools in place, it is easy to find out which scenarios are critical. Okay.
Okay,
Any
sir.
other questions? Yeah.
So actually, about LRE Enterprises training, how are you going to give us? Is it 2 to 3 days of session would be there?
Oh, yesterday we discussed, right? So I will be giving you the recorded session for those. Actually, it is just a 2 days session, but unfortunately for this time period, we are unable to take a live session for that. So instead of that, we will be giving a complete playlist of LRE. Like it was
Okay.
created, the playlist was created in such a way that the participant will learn end-to-end project implementation, which is
Okay.
including LRE. So that entire playlist, which covers like more than 10 sessions, then the entire playlist will be shared with you guys. So when you
So, okay,
watch that
by
playlist, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I will explain that playlist. I can go through that playlist video once.
okay, got it. And one more question, last question from my end is so the true client which we are using it through LRE, right? So that kind of information or the training will be given provided on the LRE videos.
Uh, True Client, I will be taking one live session on True Client scripting. So how to
Oh,
develop
is it?
scripts using True Client, I will take a live session.
Okay, okay. That may enough for us to go on working with in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
application, right?
that will be enough. Yeah, that will be enough.
Oh,
Uh,
mm.
additional like 20-30% effort and practice from your end, that should be enough.
Okay, sure then. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
And no,
Yeah, go ahead. No
sorry.
problem.
So if we really need a LRE like live session, so will it be necessary for us, or by looking at the video itself is enough? By
Video
any,
is more than enough. More than enough.
okay,
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Okay, and that's the reason it's like end-to-end project kind of implementation is what we have shared. So that means you will learn everything here, and when you go through those sessions, you will know how things are, how to implement or work out in the project from starting to ending. That is also there in that playlist, including LRE execution and all. End-to-end project implementation is also there.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, guys. Yeah.
Performance center will cover, sir, or not?
No, no, performance center they are not using. Either they are using controller or LRE nowadays. So performance center they have performance center only they have migrated to LRE completely. So no one is
Okay,
using
no.
performance center.
Okay, LRU only now using, right?
LRE or controller. Yeah. In some
Okay.
projects they are still using controller. See, the thing
Like
is, community edition and
nowadays,
enterprise edition will be there. In community edition, whichever projects are using community edition, they will use controller. Whichever projects are using enterprise edition, they will use LRE.
So both are have a high users capacity, sir. It's
Yeah, yeah.
only
Both will have
LRU
user capacity is depends on our
license.
project requirement. That means our organization, generally what happens is every organization they will buy users at a organization level. For example, they will say, hey, in my I have like 15-20 applications in my company. Every team will do performance testing and they might test up to 50,000 users or 30,000 users, let's say. So they will take like maximum 50,000 users. Every application can reach up to 50,000. No worries. So at organization level only they will buy license for that. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the maximum users capacity unless client is coming up with a new thing. Even if client is coming up with a more number of users requirement, client will only, I think, give us the new license for more users also. That should not be an issue.
Both are covered in and that records whatever sessions you given, right? LRE and controller also.
Yeah. See, users, we will see in our session, right? I installed a kind of trial version LoadRunner software in my machine, right? It can support up to 50 users. Okay, so
I'm not asking about the users, sir. So you covered in a controller and LRE as well, right? In that
yes,
record session or like.
yeah, execution with multiple users are covered in both LRE and controller both.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Next question.
Sir,
Nowadays, all are using like more performance center, right? Other than like when compared to controller, for example.
Yeah, depends. Some projects use controller, some projects use LRE. The thing is, how you create a scenario, how you add users, how you monitor graphs, how you monitor the test, everything is same in both. Only thing is the way you launch controller is different, the way you launch LRE is different. That's it. In LRE, you will get a URL, you log into that URL, you will see everything, whatever you see in controller. So whatever you learn in controller, same thing you will implement in LRE also. The only thing is UI will be different. It's a browser based. This controller is a standalone component. So both you will learn in that recorded session. You will learn LRE. Live session, I'll show you controller also. Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, for POC, I want to ask the question. Like in my project, it's very new and only 2-3 pages have been developed, and they are asking me to do POC performance test on that. So means there is no script as well. So what should I do? Means page
So
by.
yeah, I think you can start with. Uh, so I think, see, you should check, like, is it only UI? Is it only UI which is developed, or is there any backend services that are implemented for those 3 pages? So if there are any backend development happened for those 3 pages, you can ask them which services are being called. Take those services, service URLs,
Mhm,
endpoint URLs, and sample requests, and
mhm,
start with web services test, like with 5 users, 10 users, and tell them, like, okay, with 5 users or 10 users, this is how it is responding. You can
mhm.
slowly increase the users, as per the input given by the development team.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so first you need to check with them is, okay, UI is there, you can see all 3 pages, but is there a connectivity between UI and the backend is what you need to know. You can
Mhm,
also know, but let's say you click on login, after login it is working fine. In any of the page, if you search, if you click on search, by entering something, is the search working? So if all those things are working, I think backend is already implemented. But better to take confirmation from the development team. If backend development is done, then you can start with 1 or 2, 3 services, whatever they are done. Try to do some
The
performance testing.
APIs I should take, and
Yeah,
I should
correct,
do the performance on
correct.
that.
You just need to ask. You just need to ask, hey, for these 3 pages, can you give me the services that you implemented, the details related to the services that you implemented, with
Mhm.
some sample request.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to know the endpoint URL, the
Okay.
sample request. So if you know these two, it will be easy for you. And even they will have this information ready, because when they are implementing this backend, they will already test that service in their local, either
Mhm.
through any of the tool UI, any of the tool, or they might use some postman also. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so take all the details, endpoint URL, sample request,
Okay.
and you also test it manually first. You can use some tool like postman or anything manually,
Okay. In
and
a
then if it is
simple,
working fine.
yeah. Alone the
Okay,
API should I should test first,
yeah,
and
correct, correct.
hmm, okay.
Yeah, it should be
Got.
easy. Yeah, and if they are sure that it is manually working fine manually as a standalone, then directly develop the script, web services script for that service, no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay then. Yeah. I'm stopping the recording here.